Good afternoon, everybody. Respected Chair, distinguished scholars on the dais, revered archaeologists, epigraphists, scholars, and my dear audience. I'm here today to bring to light a few references of Ayurveda in the epic of epics, Sri Ramayana. Firstly, let me introduce Ayurveda to you. The word Ayurveda is a combination of two words. Ayur simply meaning life and Veda meaning knowledge. So Ayurveda means the science of life. It is an Upaveda of the Rig and the Atharvana Veda, and it was given to us to attain liberation through a healthy living. Ayurveda is a complete philosophy of life. It's a preventive as well as a curative measure, and it is designed to specifically achieve and maintain both internal and external stability. Cognized by the seeds, it has a wealth of knowledge for a healthy and meaningful life. A more than a 10,000-year-old healing tradition, it teaches us how our lives can be enriched, extended, and enhanced without the interference of disease and aging. Ayurveda propounds that good health is simply not the absence of a disease, but a harmonious and dynamic balance on all levels encompassing the environment. It's a collection of principles of healthy living and is the most favored healthcare practices of millions of Indians. Ayurveda, like in yoga, is Ashtanga Yukta. Kaya, Bala, Graha, Urdhvanga, Shalya, Damshra, Jara, and Vrishachikitsas are explained in Ayurveda. Many civilizations have applied the principles of Ayurveda and have reaped its benefits in wellness and disease throughout the timeline of its evolution. A system older than the Greek and the Egyptian medicine. It's also now often referred to as the mother of all medicines or New Age medicine. Now, let's move on. Apart from passing references of all the 8 branches of Ayurveda in Ramayana, we also find references of specific Kaya Chikitsa, medicine, Kaumara Bhritya, pediatrics, Graha Chikitsa, and so on. And then we find references of Kaya, Shalya, and Damshra Chikitsa. The Valmiki Ramayana, being the oldest epic in world literature, is a treasure house of knowledge and has a special place in Indian culture as well as Sanskrit literature. References of Ayurveda medicinal herbs and its use are found abundantly in Ramayana. As I said, apart from passing references of all the 8 branches of Ayurveda and Ramayana, we find references to Kaya Chikitsa, internal medicine, Shalya or surgery or to do with wounds inflicted by weapons, and Damshra Chikitsa or toxicology. Now moving on to Sri Ramayana. Yearning for Putra Santana, King Dasharatha, under the able guidance of sage Guru Vasishta and Rishi Shringa, performs the Putra Kameshti Yaga. The Divya Payasam that is given to the king could have been potentiated with medicinal herbs such as Shatavari, Kumari, Ashoka, and Ashwagandha, which detoxify and potentiate the reproductive organs and so also calm the mind. The queens conceived soon after partaking the payasa. In those times, money, mantra, and aushadha were given equal impetus in the treatment of health conditions. Swarna Prashana as one of the Jata Karmas with a concoction of Medhya, Balya, and Agnivardaka Dravyas as Brahmi, Vachak, Grita, and Madhu potentiated with Swarnabhasma, were administered to the young infants Rama, Lakshmana, Shatrughna and Bharata under the able guidance of the Rajavaidyas. You can see the Havana being performed and the Swarna Prashana being done to the young infants as one of the Jata Karmas. This is a shloka on Swarna Prashana found in Kashipa Samhita. Then, as we all know and the story goes, sage Vishwamitra takes the young princes Rama and Lakshmana to the woods. He teaches them the Vidya of archery and many other Vidyas, and he gives references of various stories, various Puranas, and makes them very learned. In the process, the incident of Ahalya Shapa Vimochana happens. We all know that Gautama Rishi's curse on Lord Indra for being an impostor renders him impotent. He loses both his scrotum. That is when the celestial twins, the Deva Vaidyas, Ashwini Kumaras, come over and perform the organ transplantation. They can't find the human anda, so they transplant the scrotum of a goat there, and hence Lord Indra comes to be called as Meshanda. Then, in the context of Pattabhishek of Sri Rama, we read that holy water from all the rivers and various Oshadhi Latas were brought to Ayodhya, showing the significance and use of herbs in the rituals. Later, we all know, Keki kicks up a big issue about Sri Rama's Pattabhisheka, and she checks into the Kopagriha there. And Dasharatha, for his love for his dear wife, comes rushing to see Keki all laid on the floor, and he offers to summon the royal physicians to treat Queen Keki, who looks depressed. Keki even threatens to take poison, which also shows that the science of toxicology existed in that period. Then, out of grief, when Rama listens to his father, the Pitruvakya Paripalana happens, and Rama leaves for the exile, and Dasharatha succumbs to the grief, and Dasharatha is no more. Bharata is not in town. So that is when Dasharatha's mortal remains are preserved in something called the Thaila Droni here, in which Tila Taila or sesame oil and honey are mixed and kept inside the Thaila Droni until the last rites are performed by Prince Bharata. Then the prince in exile with Lakshmana and Sita proceed towards the Shringaverapura, and then they move on to the further parts of the forest, wherein sage Agatsya directs Sri Rama and Lakshmana to go to Panchavati. He says that is the most auspicious place for you to go. And Panchavati is a grove with 5 Vata vrikshas. Vata in Ayurveda or Sanskrit means Negroda or Ficus bengalensis. You must understand here that Vata vrikshas, Panchavati, there are various Vatas actually. They are Vata, Ashwata, Udumbara, Plaksha, Negroda and all these things. And Ashwata Narayana is Garbha Rakshaka Narayana. Narayana resides in the tree. And Udumbara Narayana is Srishti Palaka Vaidya Narayana. And Negroda Narayana is Shraddha Samrakshaka Narayana. You might see women yearning for good progeny circumambulating the Ashwata tree. Asking for the blessings of the Ashwata Narayana because he's a Garbha Rakshaka Narayana. Negroda Narayana because it's Shraddha Samrakshaka Narayana. Rama and Lakshmana choose to stay in Panchavati because they have to do their daily rituals up there, and they have lost their father just then, so they need to do a year-long ritual. So they need to have all these twigs and herbs. So they decide to stay in Panchavati, which is very rich in flora and fauna. So there is reference of these trees in the Ramayana. Beautiful phrases in the poem and Kishkinda Kanda respectively are leads to the lifestyle put forth in Rutucharya explained in Ayurveda. Ayurveda talks about Dinacharya, Rutucharya and Sadvrata, and in Rutucharya there are certain rituals and certain lifestyle tips that are put forth for a healthy living. And as they proceed in the Aranya, they find that, especially in the Kishkinda Kanda, Rama and Lakshmana see that the tapasvis living there, the Rishi Munis, are of very sound health. So they ask the others, how come they are taking with sound health here? And that's when they attribute it to their good dinacharya and aharakrama and periodical kayakalpa chikitsa of Ayurveda. They subjected themselves to upkeep health and longevity. Then comes the most beautiful part of the Yuddha Kanda, wherein Sanjeevani Parvata, as we all know, is brought, but it's actually called by a different name. So this is when Rama and Lakshmana, along with the Vanara Sainya, have entered Lanka. And the Yuddha Kanda, 74th Sarga, it describes the Yuddha of Rama, Lakshmana and the Vanara Sainya along with the valiant Indrajitu. Indrajitu is known for his tactics in Yuddha Kanda. He actually dips his arrows in poison before he shoots at the enemies. Indrajitu uses Nagapasha and Brahmastra on the battalion. That is when a lot of Vanaras, along with Rama and Lakshmana, and even a couple of Rakshasas, go into a deep syncope. Rama rises. Vibhishana goes around the battlefield looking for people who are alive or who are still conscious. He finds only Anjaneya to be conscious. Then they ask, Jambavanta rises from a syncope and says, it's only Anjaneya who can revive everybody. So he summons Anjaneya to go to the north. Then that is when the journey of Hanumanta to the Oshadhi Parvata in between the Kailasha and the Rishabha Parvata happens. And he is asked to bring 4 vanaspatis, Mrita Sanjeevini, Vishalyakarani, Savarnyakarani and Sandhanakarani. When he goes to the mountain, you must know that all these vanaspatis, they become adrishya suddenly. They don't expose themselves to Hanuman because they think, because of his kaya, because of his structure, the plants, the vanaspatis think that there's a demon looking for us. So they all suddenly become adrishya. Then Rama, known for his dasya kind of bhakti, for Anjaneya, known for his dasya bhakti, for Rama, implores to these plants. He says, I'm taking this for Rama. Please come to the open. I need you. I need to take you for Sri Rama. But when that doesn't happen, he brings the shikara of the Parvata itself to Sri Lanka. When he brings it to Lanka and places it on the ground, just by the fragrance of all these herbs, Lakshmana, the Vanara Sainya are all revived. Interestingly, the Rakshasas are not revived. The reason is Ravana felt that he would be ashamed if he sees all the Rakshasas having fainted or died or who met with their death. So he would have instructed his battalion to throw all the Rakshasas into the sea as soon as they are dead. So they are not to be seen there, so they were not revived. So Ravana goes on losing his Sena because they are not to be found. Now, here comes the point wherein the Parvata is then restored to its original location, which also shows that forest or environmental conservation existed in those days. Otherwise, this Oshadhi Parvata would have stayed in Lanka itself until today. The book Energy Medicine, Ancient Wisdom and Wellness Trends by Dr. T.M. Srinivasan and B.R. Pai deals with a chapter on Himalayan crystal salt, which is believed to contain the same 84 natural minerals and elements found in the human body. This form of salt has been maturing over 250 million years under intense tectonic pressures and creating an environment of zero exposure to toxins and impurities, and the health benefits of these Himalayan salts which were there on that Parvata is listed out here. The next instance in Lanka is when Dashagriva Ravana, who is dejected, frustrated, angered, ashamed by the loss of his near and dear ones, especially Indrajitu, Meghanada and Kumbhakarna, and betrayed by Vibhishana, himself comes to the battlefield to encounter Rama and Lakshmana. He uses his Shaktyayuda, which he has acquired through a boon, to hit the marmasthanas of Rama and Lakshmana. Ayurveda discusses about marmasthanas in the chapter Trimarmiya Adhyaya, wherein there are Sadhyo Pranahara marmas, which are Shiras, Hridaya and Basti. Shiras is the head or the brain, Hridaya is the heart, and Basti is the bladder. These three are called the Sadhyo Pranahara marmas because if they are inflicted by a weapon or if they are injured, sudden death can happen or it's simply fatal. Ravana's arrows pierce the Hridaya of Lakshmana and Lakshmana falls to the ground, all Rakta Sikta. The word Dharashayi is used here. Looking at the arrow piercing Lakshmana's heart, Rama is devastated. Now he doesn't know what to do. He says, there is no point in me fighting for Sita. I don't want Sita anymore. I want my Lakshmana now. What is the point in fighting if I have to take back Sita to Ayodhya without Lakshmana? I don't want to do it. He's devastated. He puts his weapons down. He gets down from the chariot that Indra has given to him and he cries over. That is when Sushena, who is the royal physician of Ravana, comes to the rescue of Rama and says, look, let us again assign Hanumanta to go back to the Himalayas. And then Anjaneya goes there. But then he also consoles, Sushena consoles Rama saying, look, Lakshmana is not dead. He doesn't have any Arishta Lakshanas. If a person is to be dead, there has to be a few Lakshanas on the system. They are, Lakshmana's face has not become Vikara. There is no Vaivarnyata on the face. There is no Shyamatva. There is still that Prabha and Prasannata on his face. There's a smile and there's a light in the eyes and his palms are still glowing with pink hue, which say that he's still alive. Don't lose heart. We'll send Hanumanta again to the Himalayas. This time, Hanumanta is designated to go to the Dakshina Shikara of the Mahodaya Parvata for hers Vishalyakarani, that heals the wounds caused by the weapons. Shalya means weapon. Savarnyakarani, that restores the color and tone of the skin. Sanjeevakarani, that revives the person from syncope. And Sandhanakarani, that reduces the fracture site. I have denoted all the references of the sarga and the shloka and the chapter in red, so kindly go through it. As Hanumanta brings the mountain, Sushena prepares a kalka. A kalka in Ayurveda is a paste of herbs. He prepares the kalka and puts it into the nostrils of Lakshmana, and Lakshmana and the other Vanaras are revived. This is how the story goes. Now we have the debate on Mrita Sanjeevani. Lakshmana brought it, resurrected, Lakshmana was resurrected by Hanumanta, but let us really think about the Sanjeevani. Does it really exist? Of the four plants, Mrita Sanjeevani or simply Sanjeevani, it is the most important and it is known to bring one from near death back to life. What then is this plant? Does Mrita Sanjeevani that is described in Ramayana exist? And if it exists, where does it occur? Though many botanists and Ayurveda physicians have suggested candidate plants, there has been no systematic approach or unanimity. We now seem to have zoned in on one or two plants And thanks to a focused approach by Dr. K.N. Ganeshaya, Dr. R. Vasudeva and Dr. Uma Shankar of the University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore and the College of Forestry in Sirsi. What strikes us as we read the paper is the sharp clinical logic behind the search. First they say that before we eliminate it to be a purely imaginary plant that Valmiki wrote about with poetic flourish, let us ask what all qualities such a plant should have. If Mrita Sanjeevani really existed, it should refer to a particular plant, extant or extant, which has this rejuvenating property, or it refers to a group of plants with such potential for invigorating the dying health. Alternatively, it is only a metaphoric term used for a good medicinal plant. Any medicinal plant that is good, we say, oh, this is Sanjeevani to us, isn't it? So was it only a metaphoric term? So let us look for any of these criteria before we dismiss it. Look at all the versions of Ramayana across India in all tongues and languages, and do all of them refer to a plant with name akin to or close to Sanjeevani? The scientists were able to look into books on Indian plants in about 80 languages and dialects, and they finally zeroed in on 17 species which had the term Sanjeevani or its synonyms or phononyms, and they finally came down to 6 and then to 3, and only 3 of them now can be equated to Sanjeevani: Sesacratica or Rudanti, Selaginella bioptris or Sanjeevani, and Desmotrichum fimbriatum or Jivaka had the closest and frequent, consistent reference to the term Sanjeevani or its nearest phononym. Next slide, please. That physicians of the Ramayana era used as a medicinal principle the doctrine of signature, a strong tenet used in ancient Indian traditional medicine, posits that a plant with syndromes similar to the affected organ, a plant which has similar syndromes to the affected organ, whether it's the liver or the brain or whatever, or the body, can be used to treat the disease. Now, the plant S. bioptris is a highly drought-tolerant plant that lies dead and dry and inactive for months, and at the instance of the first rain or upon hydration, the plant comes alive. So that is when they thought that if similar cures similar, then S. bioptris was that resurrected Lakshmana. So is Selaginella bioptris the legendary Sanjeevani is still being debated upon. There's a lot of data available on this, and you can go through it in a research paper in the book The Current Science, which was published in August 2009. They even debate that Lanka didn't exist. It's not the Sri Lanka that is there today. This is the wonder herb Mrita Sanjeevani Selaginella bioptris. We all know in the story that they were all luminous. They all shine in dark. Would you believe if I say I have seen this Mrita Sanjeevani? It is available in a hillock near Tumkur district called Siddarbetta. Once we went on a trekking expedition there, and when I entered into one of the caves, the guide who took us along asked us to close our eyes. The cave was pitch dark. We closed our eyes and we opened. We could see radioluminescent plants up there. He said that was Mrita Sanjeevani. It was luminous because when Hanumanta went to the Oshadi Parvata, it was pitch dark. These plants were shining. If you can see the blue hue up there, that's the radium up there. And I collected a twig of that plant in Siddarbetta and brought it home. It didn't work. I tried to plant it in one of my small pots in the garden. It just didn't grow. Probably it needs that kind of an environment, or if it grew everywhere, then it wouldn't have its significance. So I don't think. And they also say that when Anjaneya was bringing the Parvata from Himalayas to Lanka, a piece of the hillock fell in Tumkur district, and that is called Siddarbetta today, and that is why it is very rich in flora and fauna and all the Gairikati dhatus that are available today. So this is the wonder herb Mrita Sanjeevani Selaginella biopteris. Also finally, when Rama brings back Sita along with Lakshmana, he comes back to Ayodhya and the Pattabhisheka happens. He takes Sita one day to the garden. Sita is expecting at that time. He realizes that she is conceived, and then she asks, "Do you have any wish?" They call Daurada. They had two hearts because one of that baby and one of her own. So he asks her, "Do you have a wish?" And then he takes her to the Ashokavana in Ayodhya. Ashoka simply means there is no shoka, there is no sorrow, there is no grief. So in Ashokavana, the poetic description of the vihara of Rama and Sita in the picturesque vana is beautiful. Valmiki describes the beauty of the well-maintained vana of having many medicinal trees as listed here. I have given all the Sanskrit names of the herbs here and the botanical names of the herbs. So if anybody needs to refer, it's available. And then Lava and Kusha are born in the ashram of Valmiki, and the Jata Karma, this is last time, the Jata Karma that is performed on Lava and Kusha, they are twins. The rishis in the ashram will take one darbe in their hand, because as soon as the child is born, it is the ritual that they do the darbe on the child like this. Now they see there are two children. What do? So they pluck the agrabhaga of the darba, the first part, and do the jata karma for the firstborn, who is Kusha. And that is why, because of the agrabhaga yukta darbe, he is called Kusha, and the second half of the darbe is used for Lava, and that is why it signifies their name. So hence the name Kusha and Lava after the darba that was used on them. Friends, we can find numerous references of the science of life Ayurveda in the great epic Sri Ramayana and in many other treatises. This proves the authority of Ayurveda in the field of medicine at all times, in all ages and all epochs. This presentation is a humble attempt to put together some facts and references of Ayurveda in Sri Ramayana. We all know that little squirrels help Rama cross the ocean. They also pick little stones and put it into the ocean so that a bridge can be formed. So this is also a small little Alilu Seve of Ayurveda for Ramayana, the epic of epics. I thank the organizers and the Department of Archaeology and the Peethadipati of Sudarshana Kshetra for giving me an opportunity. I also take this opportunity to thank and express my gratitude to my sister-in-law, Srimati Satyabhama Dureswamy, who helped me make this presentation, and she gave all her books of Valmiki Ramayana, the original script of Bharati Prakashana, to help me prepare this presentation. Thank you, and thank you one and all. Good day. If you have any questions, I can answer it later.
Any questions, please? Comments or questions? Yes?
Yes,
No,
sir.
remember the Kosha.
Yes, sir.
Negrodo Dumboroshvata Janoram Damshudana.
Even in Vishnu Sahasranama, it is said.
Negroda, Udumbara, Ashwata, they are all one and the same, you said. But you said these parties are different.
Right.
How they are different?
No, Negroda, Udumbara, Plaksha, they are all different Vatavrakshas of different species, because they are called Arali, Ala, Atti and all these things. They are different names though, but of the Panchavatis, they are of different species. They have different botanical names. But when they refer in Sanskrit language, many a time the words used can be the same for many other plants also. That's it. Otherwise, Panchavati means there are 5 Vatavrakshas. It could have been 5 Ficus bengalensis trees or Negroda trees, or 5 of those Negroda, Udumbara, Plaksha and all these things that come in, also has a reference in Vishnu Sahasra. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can you throw some light on Sanjeevani plant? Because whether it is some shapa or a curse in Kali Yuga, to not to know that plant, because it may be misused in Kali Yuga like that. Anything of that?
I know. I did show the plant and I discussed. It's Selaginella biopteris. I don't think you followed the slides. It's Selaginella biopteris, but it is available on the Shikhara of Himalayas. If it were to be so readily available, then no one would have been dead today. You know, people would have used it and abused it also, I must say. Yeah, they would have abused it.
Perhaps for that purpose, that plant, the original plant is not known perhaps.
No, it is known. It is called by the name Salaginella biopteris. It's called Sanjeevani only. But people don't know how to identify it, number one. It is not so easily seen. And you have to scale the peak of the Mahodaya Parvata, the Dakshina Shikara, which is in between the Rishabha and the Kailasha Parvata, which is so difficult to scale because of the weather condition. And it is there. So how do you approach the plant? It's not available in Deccan Plateau or in Aravallis or wherever.
As good as not knowing.
Yeah. So it's aware. Probably people who are really who are realized souls or real sadhakas may be able to find it. Not someone common man like all of us today.
Ganeshaya came to me a couple of years ago.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Thinking that the historian would help him in identifying Sanjeevani. I told him he came to the wrong place. Immediately I took him to the Ayurveda hospital.
Okay.
And unfortunately at that time, nobody was able to identify it or give more information to him.
Okay.
So he went back disappointed.
Oh.
I just wanted to add the information.
Thank
But then I did not know you. Had I known you, I would have definitely asked him to go and meet you.
They have done extensive research. Ganeshaya, Vasudeva and Umashankar from the Department of Horticulture and Forestry in Sirsi and also in Bangalore have done extensive work on this, but still they are not able to conclude whether this is the drug. So here is a project that can be taken up if it's well funded.
One way is dressing and disguise, not to identify.
My
Exactly.
remembrance regarding this plant, the Sanjeevani or not. Some 60 years ago,
Yes.
I remember now, I have read an article in Reader's Digest. It appeared there. Some people were climbing along with the local original people, the Mahendra Parvata near Trivandrum. They were all tired of climbing further, but that fellow, he was climbing quietly. When he saw back, his companions were keeping quiet, tired of. They tell us that he picked some plants, just chewed it and gave him, and to swallow it. They swallowed it, for 2 minutes they took rest,
Right.
and afterwards they felt like running up,
Okay.
and they write it. But they tried to find out the plant which he picked.